Call the Senate to order. Sergeant at Arms will please secure the chamber doors. Members, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President,
All right, Senators, we have our good colleague from College Park who is here to give us our invocation this evening. So, members, please rise for the invocation.
Thank you, Mr. President. It really is an honor to give the prayer. This will not be as eloquent as probably any of the prayers that we've had from our wonderful pastors, but it's a prayer that has meant a lot to me for my whole life, both personally and a very familiar prayer that I also think is very relevant to our institution. Let's pray. God, grant us the serenity to change the things we can't change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Amen. Well said. All right. Chair recognizes the minority leader.
Yes, if we could journalize that succinct message.
Without objection, I think we most certainly may. Well-needed advice these days. Important reflections. All right, has everyone recorded their presence in the chamber? We are missing a few here. Chair, Budget and Tax. Who do we got here? Okay. We'll let our EHE members who were voting, we'll let them get to their buttons. The clerk will take the call. All right, with 40 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. Are we ready with team? All right, we are going to be efficient tonight. Tonight is an efficiency night. We're going to move on it. So we're going to start with the resolution. We're going to recognize the senator from the 44th district who has some talented young ladies who are here to be bragged upon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. As these young ladies come in this evening, we welcome our Maryland Class 3A basketball champion, Baltimore Polytechnic Institute Lady Engineers. This is Poly's first state title in program history for our Lady Engineers, while his coach, Kendall Peace Abel, has led the Lady Engineers to the state championship game 4 earlier times. The 5th trip proved a charming defeat of Howard County's second-seeded Howard High by 60-37 in the Class 3A final.
There went those budget bill projects.
With this victory, Poly snapped the Lions' 44-game winning streak dating back to the 2019-2020 season. Founded in 1883 as an all-male manual trade and vocational school, Poly integrated in 1952 by a 5-3 school board vote, allowing 13 black male students to attend. Now, mind you, this was 2 years prior to the Supreme Court's decision in Brown versus Board of Education. It will be another 22 years, and I'm talking 1974, the year that I was born, before Poly officially became coeducational when it began admitting young lady students to the school. So standing before you, we have Miss Michaela Brown, Brianna Johnson, Dania Cunningham, Jerry Ellis Lopez, Jordan McLean, Naomi Teklu, Asia Murray, Amaya Hollis, Amelia Overton, Brianna Pope, Ariana Mukimi, Trinity Massenberg, Sierra Georges, Mikkel Laurie, Debria Clark, Taylor Addison, Kazia Akani, Riley Holiday, Sydney Curtis, and Coach Kendall Peace. Thank you. Brittany Lonesome, and Toby Henson. Our Lady Engineers.
Clerk will read the resolution in full.
be it hereby known to all that the Senate of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to Baltimore Polytechnic Institute girls varsity basketball in recognition of winning the 2022 MPSSAA Class 3A State Championship. We applaud your outstanding season and wish you many more. Congratulations. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 4th day of April, 2022.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. The young women of Poly, the championship 3A state champions for the 2022 MPSSAA girls varsity basketball, congratulations on your incredible achievement, both on the floor and in the classroom. Congratulations. Thank you all for joining, and hope you have a safe trip back to Baltimore tonight. Be following you shortly. Watching that game tonight, too, I imagine. Thank you. All right, we have another resolution, but we are missing our presenter. So, do we have other introductions? Other introductions? Any other introductions at all? Are we sure? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, let's do this. So, just quick note: big news today on both fronts, both on the congressional map. Came to agreement. It looks like we have a pretty settled congressional map and had an order from the court today on the state legislative map. So hopefully we have some certainty here on what the 2022 election will look like. So still another step. The Court of Appeals will be reviewing, I believe next Wednesday, the order put forward the date for argument and decisions. I think we're all at a place at this point now where certainty is king. So hopefully we are through this once every 10-year cycle and onwards we go. So I think everybody will be a welcome change from the uncertainty. All right, do we have Senator from District 9? Do we have a citation? Oh, they're not here yet. Okay, we'll catch them when they're here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Without objection, so be considered the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. Let's go ahead and start with message from the House. These are bills passed by the House. Clerk will read the bills.
Senate Bill 29, Senator Elfreth, Family Law, Marriage Age Requirements. By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates does not recede in the House amendments to the Senate.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk. I think I said the wrong thing.
Okay.
That's all right. We can do that. We can read that, House. Let's go ahead. We'll go with the 29. Clerk will read that message.
The House of Delegates does not recede in the House amendments to the Senate bill and agrees to a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses. The Senate has appointed Senator Smith chairman, Senator Carter, Senator Huff. The House appoints Delegate Clippinger chair, Delegate Bartley, Delegate Shetty. Said bill is returned herewith by order of Sylvia Seeger, Chief Clerk.
All right, I believe a message having been read is ordered journalized. Do we have another message for, clerk will read the second message. Do we have the second message to name our side of the conference committee? That was ours too. Okay, so that message is to be journalized. All right, let's go now to the message from the House Delegates number 8. Clerk will read the bills.
Senate Bill 2, Senator Augustine. Mental health law, petitions for emergency evaluation, electronic record.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. Let's go to, these are House bills. This is message number 33.
House Bill 544, Delegate Chi, Health Facilities, Residential Service Agencies, Reporting Requirement Rules.
All right, Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. They will be referred to the Committee on Rules. It looks like we have everybody that we're going to have, and we just started. Let's go ahead to the third readers. We have consent calendars here. All right, this is consent calendar number 12. Clerk will read the calendar. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a favorable report. We are out of order here.
Okay, which one are we doing?
Yep, I think that's consent out of the committee here. We're going to go with third reading calendar number 77. These are Senate bills. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 817, Senator Jackson, Criminal History Records Check, Youth Camps and Youth Development Organizations and Program.
All right, Senate Bill 817 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 817, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 949, Senator Elfrith, Scholarships and Police Officer Recruitment.
Senate Bill 949 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 949, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Here, this is the consent calendar of third readers, calendar 18. Clerk will read the calendar.
third reading calendar number 18, consent calendar number 7.
All right, Senators, this is House bills on third reader for final passage. Please take a look. We've got 8 bills. Are there any bills that Senators wish to separate? If not, are we ready for the question? All right, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, House bills on consent calendar number 7, having received a constitutional majority, are declared passed. We've got, let's just get these consents out of the way. Calendar number 20, consent calendar number 20. These are out of EHE. Clerk will read the calendar.
third reading calendar number 20, consent calendar number 9.
All right, Senators, Chair recognizes the Senator from Baltimore County.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to pull out House Bill 460 for an amendment.
460, we will pull that out. Are there any other bills that Senators wish to pull out of the consent calendar? If not, these bills are on third reading for final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, House bills on consent calendar number 9, having received a constitutional majority, are declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 460, Delegate Guidance, Baltimore County Alcoholic Beverages Licenses Transfers.
All right, the bill is on third reader. As the House Bill Chair the Senator has an amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. On page 2, line 11, strike 15% and substitute 10%, and it is amendment number 753021/1.
All right,
It's just a difference in the percentages.
all right, Senator moves the amendment. Chair recognizes the Senator from Anne Arundel.
Yeah, just ask the floor leader if the delegation supports this.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, seems to be no objections. All in favor of the amendment say aye, opposed nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. House Bill 460 is now again on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 460, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, let's go to, now we're at third reading calendar number 19, consent number 8. Clerk, read the calendar.
Senate third reading calendar number 19, consent number 8.
All right, these are again out of the Education, Health, Environmental Affairs Committee. We have 8 bills on the calendar. Are there any bills that Senators wish to separate? If not, and we're ready for the question, third reader, final passage, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, House bills on consent calendar number 8, having received a constitutional majority, declared passed. We now have calendar 21. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 379, Delegate Corman, State Employee and Retiree Health and Welfare Benefits Program, eligibility for enrollment and participation, Independent Agencies Health Insurance Option Act.
All right, House Bill 379 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 379, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Let's go to third reading calendar 22. Clerk will read the calendar.
Senate third reading calendar number 22, consent number 10.
All right, these are House bills on third reader for final passage. They are out of budget and tax. We've got 6 bills here. Are there any bills that senators wish to separate out and vote independently? If not, the bills are on third reader for final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, House bills on consent calendar number 10, having received a constitutional majority, are declared passed. All right, let's do this report from the Committee on Reapportionment and Redistrict. Oh, yes.
Sorry,
Chair-
Mr. President. On consent calendar number 7, I'd like to be recorded in the green. I think my button didn't work.
All right, in the green on this number 7, are there any objections? Without objection, so ordered. On the Committee on Reapportionment and Redistricting, this is report number 4. Clerk, read the first bill.
House Bill 289, Delegate Otto, Somerset County Elections, County Commissioner Districts, and Board of Education candidate filings. This is an emergency bill.
All right, do we have floor reports for these? We may not have gotten the floor reports for these ones. Let's do this. Let's special order this calendar to the end of the day today and see if we have the floor reports available. All right, are there any objections if we were to special order? Without objection, we will special order them to the end of the calendar today. Let's go to Budget and Taxation, report number 46.
House Bill 602, Delegate Crosby, Board of Public Works, Sarderley Plantation Operating Grant, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 27th District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, House Bill 602, as amended, matches Senate Bill 913, which passed the Senate unanimously. It requires the governor to include certain funding to provide an operating grant to the Board of Trustees of Historic Solidly Incorporated for the design, construction, repair, renovation, reconstruction, and general operations and expenses of Solidly Plantation. Specifically, the governor must include a fiscal amount over the next 3 fiscal years. There are 2 amendments which both correct the name of the entity to Historic Solidly. Move adoption of the amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 amendments in the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Now on the amended report, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 602 is hereby ordered passed to third reading. We have a consent calendar out of budget and tax, number 12. Clerk will read the calendar.
Report of the Committee on Budget and Taxation, report number 45, consent calendar 12.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee on the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. These 4 bills are all bills that are exact in the same posture as the Senate versions, and I would move the consent calendar.
All right, the floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report on the 4 consent calendar bills. Are there any bills that senators wish to separate out and act off consent? If not, on the favorable committee report, all in favor say aye, opposed nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted, and the bills on consent calendar number 12 are ordered passed for third reading. We've got another calendar out of budget and tax, number 43. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 13, Delegate Carr, Procurement, Discriminatory Hiring Practices, Debarment. Favorable.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a very simple bill. It simply says that if you've been found to have violated the anti-discrimination laws of the state or been barred from federal contracts because of being found guilty of discrimination, going forward, you will not be able to get state contracts. There were no amendments. The bill was passed unanimously by the committee. I move favorable report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections to the report? Without objection, the, oh, yes, Chair recognizes the minority leader.
Just a question for the floor leader. I haven't had a time to see this. So if you could just say it again, what they had a problem with and how long they would be barred from
How
procurement.
long they would be barred is an interesting question that, frankly, I don't know the answer to off the top of my head. Let me look it up. Let me see if it's here, addressed here. Basically, all we're doing is putting in state law what the federal government's policy they've had since 1965, which is to say if you've been found through an administrative process or through a court to have practiced discrimination, you're barred from federal contracts.
Okay. I just know in this body we've been taking a little different posture of redemption, whether it's criminal or whatever, and we say we don't want to ban somebody forever for doing something if they can come back and show that they've made change. And I'm just wondering if this bars them for life for a decision early in their life that they regret doing.
It's a great question.
Well, this is on second reader. If you could just get back to me before third reader, that'd be great.
Okay, that'd be fine. Thank you very
Thank
much.
Okay.
We'll do it.
All right, on the favorable report, House bill, all in favor say aye, opposed nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 13 is ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 252, Delegate Polakovich Carr, Income Tax, Maryland Earned Income Tax Credit Assistance Program for Low-Income Families. Favorable.
Chair recognizes Chair of the committee on the, as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 252 establishes the Maryland Earned Income Tax Credit Assistance Program for low-income families. The Comptroller's Office must identify Maryland residents who are eligible for the Earned Income Tax credit but did not claim the credit, establish a streamlined mechanism by which eligible taxpayers may claim the credit, and notify eligible taxpayers of the program. Move adoption of the committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion on the report? Any objections to the report? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 252 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 366, Delegate Learman, Office of the Comptroller, Legal Division and Private Letter Ruling Procedures. Favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 366 establishes a legal division in the Comptroller's Office to provide private letter rulings. I move adoption of the committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections to the adoption? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 366 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 399, Prince George's County Delegation and Montgomery County Delegation, Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, Minority Business Enterprise Utilization Program, Termination Extension. Favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Prince George's as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 399 is a local bi-county bill that just extends the Minority Business Enterprise Program at WSSC until July 1, 2023, while they complete a disparity study.
All right. So floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 399 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 483, Delegate Ivy, Homeowners Property Tax Credit, Identification of Eligible Homeowners, favorable.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Committee as the floor leader.
Thank you. This bill simply is another effort to make sure that low-income homeowners who are eligible for credit know about it and have the opportunity to apply for it. Current law says that the Controller's Office has to share information about those who file tax returns and identify the low-income folks. But there's folks who are so poor that they don't even file tax returns. So this says they need to go back and look at those who have not filed tax returns because of low income and share that with SDAT to provide information to those homeowners. Passed unanimously by the committee. I move favorable report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. On the report, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 483 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 522, St. Mary's County Delegations, St. Mary's County Tax Sales, Auctioneer Expenses, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from 27th as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, House Bill 522 is a local bill that establishes the actual cost of an auctioneer's fee for a tax sale in St. Mary's County, that it may be included as an expense of the sale of the property. There are no amendments. Move adoption of the committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 522 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 566, Delegate Boyce, School Construction Design Documents, Waste Disposal Infrastructure, favorable.
House Bill 566. Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. House Bill 566 is dealing with the interagency on school construction. It's prospective. It just talks about when in the future, if you're building a new school, that you include waste disposal infrastructure. There's no fiscal no to pass unanimously out of budget and taxation. I'd move adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th district.
Thank
on
you,
the
President. Just a quick question for the floor leader, please.
Senator may proceed.
Thank you. Now, does this require standard rules? I'm just thinking how, some of our rural schools where the disposal of food scraps is the local pig farmer comes by and picks them up and hauls them off to the pig farm to feed to recycle them that way, which is obviously not something you could do in some of your more urban schools where that's just not feasible. So does it require a plan, or are they going to adopt, this is the standard blueprint, here's how you have to do it?
Well, it's up to each school system on how they want to apply it. So if they want to do, a waste basket that would be able to support your farmers, that's not a problem. But this is going to be based on what the local school system adopts for infrastructure.
Okay, so it's just requiring them to include a plan, not the plan.
Yeah, I mean, so IAC is required to make sure that prospectively each school system has, when they're building new buildings, they have waste disposals inside, but it'll be up to those school systems on how they want to apply it.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
All right, on the report, any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 566 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 718, Delegate Rogers, Anne Arundel County Local Development Council, Delegate Appointments, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, House Bill 718 will alter the membership of the Local Development Council, or the LDC, in Anne Arundel County simply by adding another delegate, so ensuring all 3 delegates instead of the current 2 are represented of the district where the communities surrounding the facility are located, or the delegates designees. The bill repeals obsolete language and removes a reference that an LDC consists of 15 members. Mr. President, there are no committee amendments, and I move adoption of the favorable committee report.
All right, floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 718 is ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 809, Delegate Kipke, Property Tax Exemption, Disabled Veteran, Active Duty and Surviving Spouse, Application Process, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, this bill matches exactly Senate Bill 975, which we had a couple days ago. You might remember this is the one where we're really trying to help disabled veterans get into homes by getting their credit information earlier from SDAT. There are 2 amendments. The first is technical. The second adds a 15-day requirement as originally drafted. Move adoption of the amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the two amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 809 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1179, Delegate Johnson, State Lottery, Sales of Lottery Tickets and Tickets from Instant Ticket Lottery Machines, Commissions, favorable with one amendment.
Chair recognizes Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill increases the lottery agent sales commission. The commission is currently 5.5% of gross lottery sales. The committee amendment changes the commission to 5.75 of gross lottery sales. Move adoption of the committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections to the amendment? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Now on the amended report, any discussion? Any objections to the report? Without objection, the favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 1179 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1186, Delegate Riley, Property Tax Credit, Elderly Individuals, Veterans, and Surviving Spouses Alterations, favorable with two amendments.
Didn't we just do this? No. All right, Chair recognizes the senator from the 27th as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, House Bill 1186 as amended is identical to Senate Bill 901, which passed the Senate unanimously. It authorizes local governments to set the amount, the duration for an existing local optional property tax credit instead of setting those details in state law. There were two committee amendments. The first is technical. The second puts the bill in the same posture as Senate Bill 901. Move adoption of the amendment and favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections to the amendments? Without objection, the two committee amendments are adopted. On the amended report, any discussion? Any objections to the report? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 1186 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Mr. President.
Oh, yes, Chair recognizes the senator for Prince George's.
Thank you very much. Could the sponsor, Mr. Senator,
Oh, Senator,
could you please clarify what was meant by elderly individuals to see if I qualify?
Senator, the bill is not before us any longer. Let's have the clerk read the next bill. Senator, the bill is not before us. We can catch it on third reader.
Thank you.
Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1312, Delegate Watson, Public Safety, Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund, alterations, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, last year this body created the Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund within the Maryland Department of Emergency Management to do two things, I think, to kind of catch more federal funding to address flooding and then get that federal funding down to our locals. This bill is the next step. It would authorize that fund to issue low and no interest loans to local governments for the purpose of offering loan funds to private property owners for hazard mitigation projects. Local governments providing loans to private property owners are then authorized to establish a specified graduated loan forgiveness program. There are no committee amendments, and I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections to the report? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 1312 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1400, Delegate McIntosh, Morgan State University, increasing bond principal amount, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 1400 increases the bonding authority of Morgan State University from $88 million to $140 million. There are no committee amendments, and I move adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 1400 is hereby ordered passed for third reading. All right, let's go to the next budget and tax report. We have a Senate bill, number 44. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 814, Senator Hester, Public Safety, Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund, alterations, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 814, once amended, will be the exact match of the House bill that we just passed on second reader. Again, it just authorizes the Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund to create these loans to local governments. There are 2 committee amendments. The first committee amendment makes changes to the purpose paragraph, and the second committee amendment removes DHCD from provisions of the bill. In addition, the amendment makes clear that a local government must apply for the loan itself. Move adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? All in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 814 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. All right, let's go back to that reapportionment and redistricting report. This is number 4. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 2889, Delegate Otto, Somerset County Elections, County Commissioner Districts, and Board of Education candidate
Senators.
filings,
Oh, sorry. Senators, if we could, thank you.
favorable.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 270 is identical to that which is, no, 289 is identical to 270, which was passed unanimously out of the Senate earlier this season. This emergency bill adjusts the boundaries of the 5 commissioner districts from which the 5 members of the Board of County Commissioners for Somerset County are elected. The bill also specifies that the candidate filing deadline will be reopened for a candidate for the Somerset County Board of Education through 12 p.m. noon on the 2nd business day following the effective date of the bill. In addition, the bill prohibits an individual who files as a candidate for the Somerset County Board of Education from withdrawing the individual's candidacy. I move adoption.
All right, the floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections to the report? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 289 is hereby ordered passed for 3rd reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 503, Montgomery County Delegation, Montgomery County Board of Education Resident Districts, Kingar Neighborhood, favorable. This is an emergency bill.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This emergency bill modifies the boundaries of 2 Montgomery County Board of Education residence districts, specifically District 3 and District 4, for the purpose of changing the district in which the Kengar neighborhood is located from District 4 to District 3. I move adoption.
All right, floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 503 is hereby ordered passed for 3rd reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 1473, Prince George's County Delegation, Prince George's County School Board District Redistricting Plan, favorable. This is an emergency bill.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 444, which was passed unanimously by the Senate earlier this session. This emergency bill adjusts the boundaries of the 9 school board districts from which 9 members of the Prince George's County Board of Education are elected. I move adoption.
All right, the floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. On the report, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 1473 is hereby ordered passed for 3rd reading. I believe we have an introduction. Do we have an introduction? Chair recognizes the senator from District 9.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Colleagues, Howard County is very privileged to have guests in the gallery tonight, students and parents from the Chinese American Parent-Teacher Association of Howard County. We call them affectionately CAPA. And they do just amazing, amazing work. They provide tutoring, enrichment programs. They were a source of PPE during the pandemic. And they came and sat through like 2 hours of cybersecurity stuff in EHE today. So I'd like to ask that the Senate body give them a very warm welcome.
Welcome, welcome. We are so glad you could be here today. Thank you. All right, let's. We've got a layover bill, layover calendar with 1 bill. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 896, Senator Smith, Office of the Attorney General, Independent Investigation, Revisions. questions on the adoption of the committee amendments and the favorable report?
All right, question before the body is on the 2 committee amendments. Any discussion of those amendments? Without any objection, Chair recognizes the senator from the 38th District on the amendments.
I had questions about the amendments in the bill, if I could talk to the floor leader.
Floor leader, yield for question. Senator may proceed.
I was just trying to bring myself up to speed on this bill. Was this supported by the state's attorneys?
No, it was, we did not get, that's right, that's correct, yes. Yes, no, so no, it was not supported.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And also wanted to ask about the position of the police chiefs and sheriffs on this bill.
Was there a position? They opposed as well.
They did. Okay, thank you.
All right, Chair recognizes Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Floor leader yield.
Senator may proceed.
So we've had some instances of problems in the state relative to, I'm assuming this bill is speaking to when there is when a fatality occurs?
That's correct, so an officer-involved death.
So that rarely happens, but it does happen sometimes. It happens almost very rarely in the state, period. There's certain places where it may happen more often than others due to a variety of circumstances. What was the purpose of a statewide bill to address this issue?
So it depends on what you mean by rarely. So this year, there have already been 13 officer-involved deaths, and that puts us on pace to put us at about 35 to 40 every year. So about 40 a year is, I mean, depending on who you're talking to, may be rare, but the need is to provide that level of transparency and separation when that happens because of the inherent conflict that's present when you have a state's attorney and then also the law enforcement agency or the police in the same jurisdiction working together to investigate and to then prosecute one of these incidents if the prosecution is necessary.
Let me, not to interrupt you, let me say, Mr. President, if I may ask another question. When I said it's rare, you're telling me we're on pace for 35 to 40 wrongful deaths by police in this state?
Didn't say wrongful, just said deaths. So officer-involved deaths. So we've had 13 so far this year, on pace for about 30 to 40.
Well, we certainly don't want people to be dying as bad, no matter how it happens, obviously, and we understand it's very serious if there is a death when police are involved. But the implication of this bill is that we think there's some big problem that it seems like it's saying that we can't trust our state's attorneys. My understanding is state's attorneys generally hand over, if there's something in their jurisdiction, they hand it over to a different state's attorney to investigate. So is that not the case?
So to my knowledge, there's only one jurisdiction that even tried that. That was Montgomery County and Howard County. They did that through an MOU process. But generally speaking, it's all done in-house. Well,
So-
until after Senate Bill 600 passed last year, the investigations are obviously separate. This closes the loop and has the prosecution separate as well. The Attorney General will get the first bite, and then the state's attorney in the local jurisdiction, if the Attorney General doesn't move forward with it, the state's attorney can move forward with it after that.
Let me drill down on that for a moment. So the investigations were always independent, correct?
Not always. Just after Senate Bill 600 that we passed last year, that just went into effect in October. So since October 1st of this year, or last year, that's when the independence and investigations took place.
But I guess my question is there, to me, the thrust of this bill says we're not trusting our state's attorneys to be able to handle something like this. We're saying that they inherently cannot handle a case where there's an officer involved. And again, it's important to make the distinction, and I know you would agree, it's important to make the distinction when we say someone dies in a police encounter versus a wrongful, that doesn't necessarily, that we're not saying 35 to 40 officer pulls a gun and shoots somebody either. It could be a car crash, it could be a number of different factors. But the implication here is, it seems to me that we're not trusting our state's attorneys to do their job that the voters elect them to do and run their office.
So this is never about the inherent distrust. It's about the appearance as well and public trust. So it's not as though our prosecutors don't do a great job. It's not as though our law enforcement officers don't do a good job, and that the lion's share of both are not honorable people that go to work every day and perform their duties to the utmost of valor and integrity. But what this does is adhere to a lot of what's been said for the Civil Rights Commission, the ABA, and various other organizations, that this is a best practice to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. The separation of investigations and then also prosecution lends to more credibility because there's no inherent conflict, which it currently exists with the prosecutions. So it's not as though we're undermining or that we don't trust, but it's more like a trust but verify situation here.
So this will happen, will the Attorney General, and because I was looking at the bill, will the Attorney General be in his office, his or her office, be involved every time one of these happens?
So an officer-involved death, yes. So what would happen is that the local law enforcement would secure the scene, and then the IID would come and with the Maryland State Police, and they would do the investigation. And then if there was a necessary prosecution to move forward, then under this bill, the Attorney General would have the ability to do that.
If there was a necessary prosecution to move forward of the police officer?
Correct.
Will they come and investigate if there's other criminal activity that, and try to help address the criminal activity?
So the bill does provide for if it's connected to the underlying conduct that led to the investigation, right? But there are also protocols that the Attorney General has developed, which can be found on the website. I can read some of it to you. That there are, I know that the senator on judicial proceedings brought this up actually. There are multiple criminal investigations going on, and there are protocols that I can read, or you can check it out on their website that address that. It's worked out fantastically well. In fact, there have been a couple of instances in which the IID has the independent investigation unit has had to go ahead and work collaboratively with the local jurisdiction to pursue multiple lines of investigation and then ultimately prosecution. It's worked well.
Does this happen? Thank you for that answer. Does this happen in others? How many other states is this happening in, this kind of collaboration?
So you've got New York, Washington, Maine, Rhode Island, Vermont, Delaware, and New Jersey.
Okay. All right. Mr. President, I think it looks like the committee amendments are good amendments to adopt, so I don't want to hold us up on that. I may have some other questions, but appreciate the answers. Thank you.
All right, questions on the two amendments? Any further discussion on the amendments? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable report as amended. Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th District.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on the report, please.
Senator may proceed.
So colleagues, as was just stated, the current law that we've got, we just approved this law last year. And they just stood the unit up in November. We didn't hear any testimony about, oh my God, the current system's a failure. In fact, as the chairman said, it's working fine. They've had collaborative efforts on some cases. And while there have not been MOUs, formal MOUs between most counties, it's not uncommon for a state's attorney of one county to refer a prosecution to another county. That's actually done rather commonly throughout this state and all of our counties. So the bill last year, some of our state's attorneys have supported it, some opposed it. Some of our sheriffs supported, some opposed. Some of our chief supported, some opposed. They were, we went back and forth. But ultimately, the current process is somewhat akin to the Department of Justice process, which nobody's assailing the Department of Justice process. But that was there. So now this bill's stepping in, and having just stood up this new division that we just approved last year, we're gonna make radical changes. This is a radical change, and at a time, a radical change in a bill that's opposed by all of our state's attorneys, all of our police chiefs, all of our sheriffs, all of our police organizations. We're going to roll the dice on this. We're being asked, despite the opposition of all of our public safety teams in all of our counties. Colleagues, with the violent crime that we're seeing throughout our state, is this really the time for us to go against the very considered opinion of every one of our state's attorneys, every one of our police and sheriffs, our police organizations? The only advocate for this bill has really been the Attorney General. And with all due respect, he spent his lifetime as a civil litigator. He never prosecuted cases. He was never a police officer. And what we're being asked to do is disregard all your elected state's attorneys, their opinions. They're considered judgments. Most of these folks have 20, 30 years as prosecutors. They understand these systems. They're all ethically bound as attorneys to do the right thing, as elected officials, an oath of office. They are, after all, state's attorneys, not county attorneys, and they're sworn to do the right thing. I would just submit to you that this bill would be a huge mistake. We don't need to go here. Let's ride the horse that we stepped off the shore with last year and see how that goes. And Mr. President, I would move for a roll call vote on the second reader. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator. Our question is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any further discussion? If not, Senators request a roll call vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 28 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill the favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 896 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, I think we can call it there. We're going to be busy tomorrow, so scheduling-wise, we'll probably have one session tomorrow, probably one session on Wednesday, probably double sessions Thursday and maybe Friday, depending on where things are. If we do a double session on Friday, it will be a earlier double session, so we'll probably start at 10 and see where we are. And then 10 o'clock on Saturday, which hopefully won't be too long, but I think we want to clear out things before the last day on Sine Die. So we're in the final week, last little bit. We don't have too much, but there's a lot of things that are just going to take up some time. Just getting through the motions. So, any committee announcements before tomorrow morning? Chair of Finance? No. Budget and Tax? Judicial Proceedings? Any other select committees? Yes, Chair recognizes the Chair of the Rules Committee.
We probably will have a Rules Committee meeting tomorrow, but also right after session, I would also ask that the senators from Prince George's County meet right after the Rules Committee in the Red Room. We have an urgent matter that we need to discuss.
Tomorrow. Is that tomorrow, Senator?
Yes, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, excellent. All right. Any other pieces of business before we do a quorum call? If not, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, Senate of Maryland remains in session. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Tuesday, April 5th at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. without objection, so ordered. Stay safe. See you all tomorrow morning.